Welcome to Mercer Moments American History, a program dedicated to both current events that impact all of us, but also to those major moments in American history that for some reason have been erased, have been deleted from our textbooks, from our curriculums. My goal, my agenda is to bring those back. Today's program is actually part 2 of Who Deleted the Holocaust. Part 1, hopefully you watched that. I talked about myself being an eyewitness for national standards both in Texas and what I believe happens in every state across the country. We're deleting the Holocaust for standards for United States history and even world history. Experts from college universities are basically saying that the murder of 6 million Jewish children, women, and men was not a major theme of World War II. We fought that battle and won it, but I can guarantee the battle has not stopped, and it's going on in every state, every college in our country. That was part 1. My name is Ken Mercer. I'm known as the Minister of Education. Why? For 16 years as an elected state official, I was blessed with a reputation of being a champion for moms and dads, champion for your rights to see what's being taught in our classrooms to your precious sons and daughters. Part 2 is actually today 2 parts. A, I call the prophecy of Eisenhower. Part A, I talk about General Dwight Eisenhower, the supreme commander of the Allies of World War II. He was commander of the United States, Australia, England, Canada, and the remnants of other forces from France and Belgium to defeat the evil National Socialist German Party, the Nazis. And he predicted that one day people will say the Holocaust never happened. He wanted films, photographs, every documentation, because one day people will say it never happened. That's part 2A. Part 2B is what I call the famous Politics 101, follow the money, honey. Even as I talk right now, I'm watching students in the opening day of Cornell University being shut down. Students who can't go to class, can't go to the cafeteria with their meal plans, because of protest, anti-Israel protest. And many of you ask, Mr. Mercer, what's going on? Why do so many students and professors hate Israel so much? Why they deny the Holocaust? Why they deny the massacre that happened in October of 2023? Why? Well, sadly, it's what I call Politics 101, follow the money, honey. You're asking me who's funding this? Who's paying for these students? Who's paying for these college professors who are leading some of these riots? Well, I'm getting pretty passionate already. I always begin every program with 2 quick asks. Number 1, if you like and enjoy the program, please share it with your friends and family. And please hit the like or subscribe button to let our sponsors know that we are making a difference. In every program, I give a shout out to one state. Today, it's the state of Kansas, the Jayhawk state. Next time, it could be your state. But I always humbly ask you to lift up in prayer those high school and post-secondary students, college students, those young men and women who still have great American values, who love our country. Especially in today's political environment, they need our encouragement. They need our prayers. Well, let's begin with Who Deleted the Holocaust, Part A, the Prophet Eisenhower. I call him the prophet because General Eisenhower. Well, first of all, it was an amazing thing. I've realized many of our students, because of experts, are not just rewriting, revising history, they're just plain deleting parts of history. And I talk to students who don't know that we were the last country, the United States of America, the last country to enter World War II. And we watched as over 12 nations were occupied, overrun by the Nazis, the National Socialist Party of Germany. I realize many professors hate me saying that, but that's what they call themselves. And they were indeed socialist, and like many other socialist regimes, they murdered millions of people who might provide opposition to them. But Eisenhower, the American, became, which is really an amazing item. The Canadians, the British, and the Australians were trying to stop. The next goal of the Nazis was to invade and overrun, overtake, to occupy England, as they had done in France and Greece and Belgium and Norway and other countries, Czechoslovakia, Yugoslavia. But they asked Eisenhower to be the supreme commander of all those groups and the remnants of those other armies, Poland, etc., who were still willing to fight. But at the end of World War II, when we came not just in Nazi Germany, but we found these camps And our soldiers would call into Eisenhower's headquarters saying, "We found these prisoners in the forest. We found these places. What did you find? These camps." We can't describe it. It's so horrible, so awful. And what they found systematically is, camp by camp, this master plan, this final solution to murder any opposition, which again is typical of any socialist regime. And then these were the National Socialist Party of Germany, to murder people. Eisenhower went out there, he saw what had happened. And the reason we're blessed now with so much documentation is because of General Eisenhower. Again, later on, he became 8 years, became president, but he was General Eisenhower, the Supreme Commander. He ordered photographs, movie pictures, recordings, eyewitness accounts, whatever we could. And I'm going to give you his direct quote. Bear with me. It may be one word you may not like, but this is the soldier. This is the commanding general. He said, "Get it all on record now. Get the films, get the witnesses, because somewhere down the track of history, some bastard will say that this never happened." That was General Dwight Eisenhower in 1945. He told his troops to get everything on record, every audio recording, every picture, every witness, every film, and documented, heavily documented, because he felt, he predicted, if you will, he prophesied that one day people will say it never happened. And folks, that day has happened. We're living in that time right now, and thank you, Dwight Eisenhower, for gathering all the documentation, all the proof we needed. And again, it did happen. They're right now either deleting or denying the Holocaust ever happened. I invite you to ask your high school and college students what they know about the Holocaust. Was it a major theme of World War II? Was it the National Socialist Party, the Nazis, that killed 6 million Jewish children, women, and men? I'm encouraged to do a future podcast just on Dwight Eisenhower. He did many amazing things, but for some reason, he's one of those people who've been erased, deleted for so much of history. Well, I promise you, I will be doing a future podcast on Eisenhower. Well, that completed part 2A. Again, the prophet Eisenhower, the man who predicted one day that people would deny this ever happened. Part 2B, the conclusion of who deleted the Holocaust, is what I call Politics 101. Follow the money, honey. If you're like me, many times in history, especially in politics and government, you wonder, who paid for this? What's going on? I call it fails the Mercer smell test of what makes sense. And hopefully you have your own smell test. Does this smell right? And right now, when you walk on TV, students today are protesting across America, not just one campus, across the country. Students joined, oftentimes led by their professors, some folks in administration being quiet as to what's going on. It doesn't pass the smell test. And it comes back to Politics 101. Follow the money, honey. Who's paying for all this? Somebody has to fund all this and be very coordinated. It would happen at so many campuses across the United States of America. Well, you ready for this? So let's begin. Politics 101, follow the money, honey. We've recorded already the easy proof, what we can see, which is direct money, $55 billion in the last 40 years given to college and universities from foreign groups. There's over 278 colleges and universities who receive money from foreign entities. And that doesn't mean it's all bad either. But they usually come with certain ties, don't they? Certain agenda. And now we find out many professors are leading and influencing and promoting these protests, violent protests. Again, who's paying for this? Who's funding? And I have to go after the Department of Education, which is now 45 years old. The Department of Ed, you've done a poor job of collecting information, a poor job of tracing the money and saying where it's come from. But even for that $55 billion that comes from foreign countries, 75% of that is unmarked. Unmarked. Now, this isn't just, I'm talking about a country wants to help fund cancer research, or maybe even research in petroleum engineering. But it's not that. There's a lot more involved there, and I encourage you to look at your college or university. I get letters of solicitation from my colleges, and And they always list the number of endowed chairs, which is pretty impressive. And endowed chairs means someone said, hey, this professor is so great, we support his influence or her influence. We're going to pay their salary the next several years, pay for their staff, and pay for their research. Wow, that's pretty impressive. But the thing, are we looking as to who's requiring it? Who's paying for this? Especially when we see our college and universities, the hateful climate of Israel, of Jewish students, and of those Christians who would dare to support our Jewish students, who would dare to support Israel. And again, I must say the Department of Education has been very lax in reporting. And this is not money they'll try to save for tuition. No, there are tens of thousands of foreign students come to our countries. This is not money for tuition and fees and dormitories. This is money, separate gifts to the university. And again, that which can easily be traced. And oftentimes these are nations with some of the worst human rights violations in the world. You know, these universities are supposedly standing up for human rights. Why are you accepting money from certain countries, billions of dollars, who have a continuous record of some of the worst human rights violations in the world? And you're taking that money and you want to tell us there are no strings attached. Again, the climate for the hatred of Israel, for the hatred of Jewish students, and the hatred of anyone who support those students, it's at an all-time high. It's an epidemic. I can probably stop there. But Politics 101, follow the money, honey. You can see $55 billion, clearly well-funded, and that's just the money we can trace. Again, I give you the caveat, that is not the money that's paid for tuition and fees and dormitories of foreign students. That's other direct gifts. Again, the gifts we can trace from foreign entities. And I will tell you this, so many of those entities I call the reflexive process, where if they hate Israel, they hate America. If they hate the United States, they hate Israel. I invite you to research your own university in your area, your town, your state. Ask them what money they receive, what it's for. If it's something as simple as for research in petroleum engineering or for medical research for cancer, well, that makes sense, but oftentimes that is not the case. And it's happened again to at least 278 universities, at least $55 billion in the last 40 years, and that's just the money we can trace. Well, I hope you found today's program interesting. Who deleted the Holocaust? Again, part one, talking about what's been happening in our college and universities, about those who actually were deleting the Holocaust, the murder of 6 million Jewish children, women, and men. And I will add to that now, those who are denying the Holocaust of October 2023. Over 1,200 innocent, unarmed civilians were purposely targeted, murdered, tortured, and now we have students who are denying that. And of course, part two was 2A and 2B. 2A was the prediction or prophecy of General Eisenhower. Get all the documentation we can, because someday they're going to say the Holocaust, the murder of 6 million Jewish children, women, and men never happened. Thank you, General Eisenhower. In part 2B, when I call Politics 101, follow the money, honey, some of this does not pass the Mercer smell test. How is it one by one, so many college and universities, students, and oftentimes led by professors and some administrators, hate Israel and hate America for that matter? This is Ken Mercer of Mercer Moments in American History. As always, I ask you, if you enjoyed the session, please hit the like or subscribe button. It's the only way we have to let our sponsors know that we're making a difference. And today's shout out was the state of Kansas, asking to pray for all those high school and college students in Kansas, those men and women of great faith and values who love America, especially in today's political environment. They need our encouragement. They need our prayers. Next time, it could be your state. And finally, always close with this, that in a place called the United States of America, I believe that our strength has always been our faith and the strength of our values. And our faith and values, coupled with our worship, has always made us so powerful, so unconquerable, so invincible. And again, please never forget that in a place called the United States of America, God, we still trust right here in America, in God. we still trust. Thank you and blessings.